Greetings, creeps, and welcome to the That Sick podcast, where we look at the intersection of horror movies, horror games, and the horror of existence as two sick little freaks obsessed with the genre and the way it connects across mediums. My name is Ash, my co-host is Josh, and today we're getting anger management for our infection of 28 weeks later. Ugh, hope you've got the cream.
Oh, very good. Very good. Ash, before we jump into this, can I tell you a pressing personal development that has happened within my life?
Okay, yeah, we've been talking for an hour before even recording this, and now is when the pressing personal incident comes out.
Listen, it's fine enough being vulnerable with you off camera, but I need everyone to know about the pressing personal updates.
Okay, all right.
Last night, I was sitting down, I was watching the World Cup final, if you wanted me to set the scene, and I drank, for the first time in a long time, a crisp can of Pepsi Max. And
nice!
For the first time maybe in my life, I thought, ooh, that's nice. That's really good, isn't it? That's super refreshing. God. And anyway, I thought I'd save that for you today, because as the Pepsi Max queen, and you'd appreciate it, maybe I'm finally unlocking that in my old age, finally becoming an appreciator of Pepsi Max.
Oh my God, this brings me no end of joy, and I'm very glad that you have saved it for commitment to camera, because I'm going to be calling back to this when you go, I don't know, because it's so good. It's definitely all the chemicals in it that have got into my brain like little worms. But hey, if brain worms make me like Pepsi Max, I'll take 10 more.
You know what it was? I think it was the marketing. I think have they changed the cans? Because it's like a lovely, sleek black can now. I'm sure it used to have horrible little spots of blue on it. I could be wrong. I might have made that up. I don't really know my Pepsi Max lore, but whatever it was, maybe it was the confluence of events. Maybe it was just the mental state I was in. It really worked, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very World Cup-based drink as well, like the Pepsi Coke, like coming at you when you're watching a football game. All the Pepsi cans I've been drinking have had little footballs on them.
Oh, so that is lovely. Pepsi Max Cherry, footballs. I'm also into right now. Just a full gamut.
I hate that.
Oh.
No, don't talk about Pepsi Max Cherry. I hate cherry drinks. It tastes like drinking medicine.
As a fan of root beer, I like that a lot. I can't lie.
Oh,
real good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. You know what, though? Let's forget it. Not Spawn, but I'm putting it out there. If people do want to, if the good people at Pepsi want to spawn us, then maybe we'll make it.
I'll take a spawn. I won a Pepsi competition once, and got a box, and I have a Pepsi t-shirt that I wear religiously. It's the best pajama top I have, because it's A, it says Pepsi on it, and B, it's just like incredible quality. And a cherry popper, which sounds rude, but it's a Pepsi Max cherry like ring finger that you can put on, so it saves your manicure when you're opening cans, which I am obsessed with. As a girl who likes to get her nails done and who loves Pepsi, I was like, oh, and it's like this little evil claw called the cherry popper. So
I always wondered how people would get their nails done open cans like that, because it seems like a recipe for disaster. Little did I know, all you need is the cherry popper, and then you can get straight into those bad boys.
Get the cherry popper going. Yeah, and you can well, the thing is, right, how I do it, I'm a short nail girly, but like if I'm opening a can, I just use the fat of my pad to go under the tab and pop it up, which, you know, it just presses into the meat of my finger instead, which I'm sure other girlies do too. You don't want to be, they're jewels, not tools, is what your nail artists tell you, jewels, not tools.
Brilliant.
So no scratching around. But then I also like go digging around on the beach and do the gardening and like just raw dog chemical cleaning. So I'm really not very good at looking after my nails unless it's cans where I'm like, okay, let's do the maneuver.
I was going to say everything but raw dogging the chemical cleaning sounds at least worthwhile. You know, you're getting your hobbies. You can't not do those just to protect the jewels.
It's true. I got so many good pictures of my hands like in dirt and sand and stuff where I was like, wow, I'm a working girl.
Hey, you know what? Before we get back to the actual podcast, I'm always jealous of whoever, when someone gets the nails done and they always like take a picture and they've got like something in their hands, a cornetto, let's say, in the show off the nails. I'm like, oh man, I wish I had an accessory I could do that with.
Oh my god, same, but right, okay. Shout out my wonderful nail lady, Amy, Spellbound Nails. Go and see her and say Ash sent you if you are in the local Midlands area. But she has told me that she very specifically dislikes certain pictures of nails, and as this is her artwork, I'm like, well, I can't have to do it how you like it. So she doesn't like it if I do the claw, I call it, where it's like this. I love that one because it makes me feel like I'm in touch with my scene queen days and or like my Lady Gaga energy is coming out. So no claw, and like very specifically holding things, it has to be done in the right way because otherwise it can look gimmicky. She likes like a very clean, like long one. The pictures she takes are amazing as well. So again, shout out. But it does mean that every time I go to take a picture, I think, ooh, will my lady like this? And I mean that my lady as in like of the courts, not as in my nail lady, but as in my lady.
Right, okay.
Tips hat. But yeah, there's a whole world of nail appreciation pictures that I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of, Josh Brown.
I hope you're not bloody scratching it. You'll injure your nails. Won't you? You'll bloody injure your nails.
Oh, here we go.
He's got the jokes. He's got the gags.
Where's your nail polish, by the way? You used to be a black nail polish guy.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say this as politely as possible. Sometimes...
Is it a performative male moment?
It's not, actually. It's not. I don't know. I used to like it within some contexts and within some outfits, but I think it's because I don't really keep my nails well. And I'm a cuticle puller, so it doesn't really accentuate it in the nicest way. I think you've got to like look after your hands a little bit more than I do to pull it off. Although I did enjoy doing it though. Maybe I'll try to bring it back. Maybe I'll try to look after my hands a little bit more, and then I'll have a nice canvas to paint upon.
You too will be allowed a cherry popper if you have the nails painted.
Well, if someone just told me that, I'd have done it ages ago. Well, Ash, I know if you don't get a Pepsi Max, you turn into a rage monster.
Here we go.
There we go. So we need to talk about 28 weeks later. That's how I've brought it back to the topic of this podcast.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We are actually talking about 28 weeks later today. And to give a little prologue, coined that term myself, remember, I'll give you a little highlight of what the film is before we get into what the film is about by JB. But it was released in 2007 as a standalone sequel to 28 Days Later. So it came out 5 years after the first release. And it was directed and co-written by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, which was his second feature-length film and his first English language film as well. His first film was Intacto, which was his first feature-length film was Intacto. He did short films before that. And Danny Boyle saw it and was like, get this guy in to direct 28 Weeks Later for me, please. So they did. And then, Alex Garland was also like, yo, shout out, let's go. This whole film was made in a co-production between the UK, the US of A, and Spain. The three countries kind of all having quite a hand in shaping how it came together. And Mr. Danny Boyle and Mr. Alex Garland were going to direct it, but due to a slew of delays and production nightmares, and then being caught up with their own projects, Danny Boyle famously with Sunshine, shout out, we love Sunshine, they thought, okay, we want to get in another perspective on this to take over the kind of view of what the film is, and we want to get out of the insular London, English, British viewpoint and get somebody from outside of that environment to direct it so that we get a fresh outsider perspective. So they were also like, oh my god, Mr. Fresnadillo will be amazing. He's Spanish as well. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland return as executive producers, and this should be in the fun facts section, but I'll give it you right now. The promotion of the film came with a graphic novel tie-in as well. So there was 28 Days Later, then 28 Days Later, The Aftermath as a graphic novel, and they even also, as part of the PR antics, put a biohazard warning on the White Cliffs of Dover, which I think is just so cool.
That is so sick. No leaving the accidental corpses behind this time and causing an issue downtown, you know?
the hairdresser from downtown reporting it to the police. Yeah, there was none of that one. I did scour for more fun facts, but they were mostly just facts. That one was particularly fun for 28 Days Later, but maybe a little bit silly, whereas these ones all verifiable.
Nice.
By my favourite source, Wikipedia.
Genuinely good ones as well.
Yeah.
Like, what's... actually didn't know some of that context, so thank you for that, first of all. But what's your personal context with this film? Because I have always had such a fondness for 28 Weeks Later. And if you don't know, by the way, we're going through all of the 28 years films across the rest of this year. If you're just joining us now, we've done an episode on 28 Days Later. It's really good, I think. But 28 Weeks has always been the odd one out in the entire franchise now. But I've always had a real fondness for it. And I must have seen it. I've certainly seen it more than 28 Days. It's the one that I have seen the most. It's probably the one zombie movie maybe that I've even seen the most. But I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I would say if it was good. I do think it's good, but it almost depends on, like, I think my own mental state when I watch it, what I think about it. Because I watched it last year in time for 28 Years Later coming out when I rewatched the original as well. And maybe it's because I watched it back to back with 28 Days for the first time in ages that it really went down in my estimations. And then watching it again yesterday in prep for this podcast, it's back up in the estimations. So it just is this roller coaster ride where I don't think it's an amazing film, but last night's rewatch, I don't know what was in the air, but it made me like it so much more than the time before when I watched it and appreciate it much more for what it is. Such an odd horror installment overall, though.
Yeah, see, I really like it, and I think it's because I came to it much later. It was one that I kind of was like, oh, I've seen 28 Days Later, why haven't I watched 28 Weeks yet? And then went back and was like, okay, I'm going to watch it now. And I had no memory apart from the opening, which I've seen the opening 20 million thousand times, but I haven't watched the rest of the film. Watch the opening and go, God, that's good, and then turn it off. So watching the whole thing again, I was like, wow. And there's so many other bits of like films that have like bare taken from 28 Weeks Later. Like you can just see all of the influences on loads of stuff and how it's quite like the connected media bit's just going to be like, oh, here's the same thing again. Because it is very much like, I don't know, just watching it again, I was like, you can see the influence that even this second installment in such an iconic franchise has. I don't think it's other people's favorites is the thing, but I really like it. I like 28 Days Later. I think it's incredible, but it's a bit of an Alien and Aliens situation for me. Very much Alien and Aliens, 28 Days and 28 Weeks. And I like how 28 Weeks is very much big action set pieces. Hoorah, Semper Fi, brothers, is my favourite thing to say whenever the military men come out. And it is very much that vibe as well, with like, get in the chopper, guys. So yeah, I just love it. I just think it's really daft. And Robert Carlyle, just anything he's in, just like he eats. And him being like a pathetic little worm at the start of the film, understandably and relatably, but also a pathetic little worm. Just he's so good at it. He's so good at it. And another collaborator with Danny Boyle, actually, isn't he? Regular.
Yeah, of course. I love Robert Carlyle. We talked about Christopher Eccleston on the 28 Days podcast, and we talked about our love for him when he turns up and just having that weird affection for him. I have that with Robert Carlyle times 10, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's watching The Full Monty when I was little. My man used to like that a lot.
Yes, it is. It's Monty. The Full Monty.
Like, that's it, the Full Monty connection. Also, this means nothing to literally anyone listening to this, but he looks a little bit like my dad as well from the same period. He's got a bit of...
I don't know your dad at all, but I always think of him as a Newcastle man because I think he gives Brown family energy. I always think, oh, there's Josh's uncle.
In this film in particular, he looks spit and dabs of my dad from circa 2007 to probably 2010. It is crazy. But yeah, I love him. He's such a good character actor. I like it every single time he turns up. And he's so committed in this because we'll get into the synopsis soon, but they kind of do, or at least what I perceived to be a bait and switch when I first watched it, where he's kind of established as the main character, the main protagonist, and then that's subverted, and he gives a really great performance as the infected that persists all the way through. Every time I watch it, he's always in more of the film than I remember. But speaking of the cast, every time I watch this film as well, I always forget at least one person who's in it, because it is an absolute star-studded cast, especially for the time. You've got Robert Carlyle, you've got Imogen Poots playing one of the kids, you've got Idris Elba, Rose Byrne, Jeremy Renner, and Rose Byrne in Idris Elba. I always forget her in this film, and every time they turn up, I'm like, oh my God, you did not spare any expense for this, or at least your casting department didn't, and they got some good people in for the time.
100%. Seeing Idris Elba, I was like, hang on, that's Idris Elba. And Rose Byrne, I forgot was in it. In my head, it's always, oh my goodness, the Rosamund Pike. I always think is in the film. I always think she's the mom, and she's not. And I watch it and think, oh, Rosamund Pike isn't in this. And then I get to Rose Byrne, I go, oh my God, Rose Byrne's in this. So it's always like, oh, like each time. But yeah, the Idris Elba was a pop-up moment. Imogen Poots as well. What else has she been in? Because she looked super familiar, but I couldn't tell you.
She's been in a good bunch of horror films. The one that comes to mind for me without Googling, I probably should have prepared, is Vivarium with the Jesse Eisenberg one. Did you ever watch that?
Oh, no. I wanted to. I really like Jesse Eisenberg. I feel like we'd be really good friends. Like,
I think you would be too.
I just think we'd be really... Sorry, I don't know why it's popped me. I just think we'd be really good friends. Out of all the celebrities, if I could meet Jesse Eisenberg, I would be like,
that's an odd one.
Why? Come to Wolverhampton?
Why Jesse Eisenberg?
It's because I watched an interview with him where he absolutely just like destroyed an interviewer with sarcasm and thought that they were having a great time, and it came out afterwards and she was like, yeah, I was really stressed out and didn't know how to handle it and hated it. I was like, oh, I've been there. We've all been a little silly, haven't we, Jesse? Come here.
You can relate to him very heavily in that regard. Oh, have I gone too far there? Have I done? Are we not all enjoying this like I'm enjoying this?
Yeah. Oh no! Am I being too funny for everyone else, or am I just being actually a bit cruel? I guess I am.
Oh, sorry. Comedy is legal now. I'm up for this. Imogen Poots actually has also been in Green Room and the Fright Night remake, amongst other things. Anyway, before we get into the specifics of the analysis, should I run us through the plot? Because
yes,
this movie kind of has a plot-heavy first half, then an action-heavy second half where it just goes full aliens like you described. So we open with one of the best opening horror scenes of all time. Even if you've not seen the full film, you'll probably have seen at least clips from this. So we actually open during the events of the first film with Don, Richard Carlyle. That's not it at all. Robert Carlyle. Have I got that one right as well? I've just completely forgot his name.
His name is Robert Carlyle.
Thank the
His
Lord.
name, saying it like Fight Club. His name is Robert Carlyle.
We opened during the events with Don, Robert Carlyle, and his wife, Alice, and they're living in this cottage trying to survive with another family. At a certain point, they get a knock on the door, and there's a little boy outside who is saying, let me in, please. I don't want to die out here. Don, to be fair, is kind of like, not a chance. We are not letting that guy in. Alice rightly says, come on, we'll try to save him. They let him in. He absolutely scrans down a bowl of pasta. And then the infected that were chasing him arrive at the house, lay siege to the house. They manage to make their way in. The house is overrun. Most of the family get killed. Don, at this point, is trying to survive, trying to get Alice out of there, but they get separated. An infected goes into the room where Alice is. She looks at him and says, help me, please, Don. And Don says, you're on your own, love. I'm off out this window. He runs away, and the last thing he sees is her getting, like, dragged down by the infected. He escapes in a boat. It's an excellent scene that we'll get into in more depth soon, but then we cut to the aftermath of it all. We skip to 28 weeks later, and we get like a text synopsis, essentially, of everything that's happened in the interim. So the infected from the first infection in the original film they've almost entirely died out. In fact, they've kind of entirely died out due to various reasons, but the main one being starvation, which is hinted at in the first film by the major in that movie, who is actually trying to figure out when the infected are going to starve. So after 5 weeks, they all starve, and America, the American military, comes in, silos off Britain, has a military force within London, and seals off the Isle of Dogs with about 15,000 British survivors, and it's like martial rule, essentially. So we skip forward to the 28 weeks later. We pick up with Don, who welcomes back his 2 children, Tammy and Andy, to England as they were abroad on a school trip while everything kicked off, so they're able to come back. Don explains what the hell has been going on, and he tells the kids that he saw Alice die. He says, nope, I saw her, she's dead. Don't worry about it. Andy, then, having received this news, is upset, as you can imagine a kid would be. Andy is really young, and Tammy's like a little bit older, presumably about 13, 14 or so. Andy is like 12, I'd guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to realize.
They say he's 12.
There we go. He's 12. Perfect. He is 12 then. So he's a little bit younger, and he confesses that he's scared that he's going to forget his mum's face. So him and Tammy devise a way to sneak out of the isolation zone in London to get back home to pick up a photograph, essentially. They're able to sneak out, but they're spotted by Jeremy Renner's sniper, Doyle, who notices them and then radios in that they've got a few strays that have escaped the lockdown. The kids make it to their house, where they actually do find their mum, to their surprise, who has been hiding in the bedroom, completely traumatized and seemingly survived the assault at the beginning of the film. At this point, the army comes in, picks them all up, brings them all back, including the mum, and then she's kind of isolated in this medical room while they do tests on them. At this point, Don lies to the kids again and says, I did see you die, I promise. Like, I wasn't lying to you. And they don't necessarily buy it, but they all agree that it's a good thing that they're back. At this point, a scientist called Scarlett, who is played by Rose Byrne, she goes off to analyze Alice's blood, and she reveals to Idris Elba's character, General Stone, that Alice is infected, but she's not showing any of the symptoms, including the rage and the psychosis and the killing and the murdering. She looks normal, but she is carrying the virus. She is a carrier, and she can still infect people. So while this is happening, before they get to sound the alarm, Don, who is kind of the caretaker of the areas and has access to all of these areas, he sneaks in, goes to see Alice, and they share a kiss, which infects him, sends him absolutely batshit. He goes ham on Alice, gouges her eyes out, escapes the confinement, starts infecting everyone. And at this point, the scientists essentially try to quarantine everyone, try to save them, but then they call a code red and say, we got to open fire on everyone. We don't know who's infected. We don't know who isn't infected. And in order to try and save what remains of, I don't know, the country, what remains of the world, we don't want this virus spreading again. He says to the soldiers, kill everyone. At this point, Doyle doesn't. He doesn't want to shoot Andy. He goes rogue and he tries to save them. And at the same time, the scientist, Scarlett, she's also caught up with the kids because she thinks that Alice, due to her very specific kind of immunity, her blood might have had the cure to the virus hidden in it that she could synthesize. So because they have access to the kids, she hopes they're the next best thing. They are trying to escape the city, trying to escape the soldiers and the infected. At this point, they are able to escape the Isle of Dogs specifically, but the military orders like a carpet bombing, a fire bombing of the city, killing most of the infected, but some, including Don, still remain. Doyle gets on the blower to his pal, who is a helicopter pilot called Flynn, and he says, hey, can you pick me up? He says, yeah, no bother. He flies over, but then when he realizes that Doyle has people with him, he kind of freaks out and he flies away, in turn killing a load of infected people with the rotors on his helicopter in an absolutely bonkers but gnarly scene. It's you got to be seen to be believed anyway. At this point, they decide to try and go to the stadium where they hope to meet up with Flynn again. and get a helicopter out of there. While they're on the escape and on the run, Doyle eventually sacrifices himself to get a car running, and he's flamethrowered to death by the soldiers after they release a chemical on London as well, to try and kill anyone who's left. So he's gone now. Scarlett and the kids, they end up going into an underground tunnel where they meet up with Don, who kills Scarlett, beats her to death with a rifle, and then he bites Andy before he's killed. And at this point, I get the revelation that Andy did inherit the immunity from Alice. He is also a carrier, and they eventually make it to the stadium and convince Flynn to fly to France, again with the hopes of synthesizing a cure. But wait, there's one final twist. At the very end, we see a bunch of infected run out of the tunnels in Paris to the Eiffel Tower, and the virus has spread. Oh no, it's the Dawn of the Dead remake ending all over again. And I think, unless I missed something, which is always a possibility, I think that's the full rundown.
No, that sounded good to me. That sounded real good. The main two things I noted about the plot were return of eye gouge death and helicopter cropper. So that was the main plot points for me.
There are so many callbacks to the original in terms of the scenes that we see here. Like you said, the eye gouge has sort of become this franchise staple at this point. And man, like I guess start with this scene. That scene where Robert Carlyle's character Don turns and kills his wife is like one of the most brutal scenes ever, one of the nastiest. And I think it might take the cake for me for just pure uncomfortability and undeserved death that like a horror movie hero has ever had. Like he initially starts to punch her, then he bites her face, then he gouges her eyes out, then he hits her again, and it's just like it is so brutal in a way that like gets really under my skin. It's kind of like when, and this is a weird comparison, but in Jurassic Park World, where the woman gets
gets got.
It's just like this death that is so disproportionate to everything. But this one, I think, it absolutely sets the tone for what's to come, and it fills you with the bleakness that I think the rest of the film runs with, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like if you're showing a rage virus, like it needs to be angry so that he's like gone that far that quickly. I think it's a really good reminder of that. This shit turns you into somebody that you don't recognize. Obviously he's been so soft with his wife and giving her that kiss, and it's the kiss of death, baby. Also, she did not look like she wanted to kiss him, so I feel like get off, Don. And also then beats her to death in the thing, and with her screaming and tied down. It is really, really gnarly. I watched it again and was like, wow, like I forgot that they went as hard as they did here, but I'm really glad that they did, because I don't know, just as soon as you start introducing kids in horror films, my patience meter gets real low, because I know that nothing bad's gonna happen really to them, and there's gonna be this plot armor. Not that it should, but like I'm like, okay, when am I gonna see my brutality? When am I gonna see something real nasty? When am I gonna feel the sense of threat and violence? And you get it straight away with like both parental figures being wiped out so nastily, and it being the spark point for the rest of this. I thought was a really good way of doing it, and being like, okay, yeah, the stakes are high, people you care and value are going to get got. The threat to these kids is real. Like maybe there isn't plot armor, turns out there is, but it makes you believe that something terrible could and will happen.
I think it also allows you to have a story with kids where they're not brutally murdered or whatever, but there's still that level of horror and bleakness, and arguably even maybe a fate worse than death, because all of this comes from those kids sneaking out, right? And yes, there are other events that are out of their control that happen, but they kind of caused it in a way. Like if they never left the city, that would never have happened. So that level of, I have made things so bad that my dad is now infected and my mum is dead. They thankfully don't see that, but they're pretty certain towards the end that there was no coming back from that. Is another devastating loss that I think they have to live with in that regard. But I think I'm with you. Like that scene works so well because of its nastiness, because of its unflinchingness, and just I don't think we've seen until that point like someone trapped with an infected, like that powerless. Because like you said, she's not just trapped to the bed, but there's no one around. The doors are locked. There's no escape in that situation. And that just kind of prangs me out a little bit, thinking about being in that situation where it is an inevitability. You are with this monster and there is literally nothing you can do about it. That sense of vulnerability, and not to mention, it wearing the face of someone close to you. However, I want to throw this to you. A little question, a little bit of interpretation for you. Do you think that Alice knew she was going to give Don a little bit of the virus? Because she looks at him after the kiss, and there's a moment where it kind of looks, I don't know, there's just a glance, there's just a look, and I don't know how to interpret it. I've never thought about it before until watching last night, and I thought, hang on, is this loaded? Is this more than what it appears to be on the surface? It might not be, but I did think about it.
I would love that for her. I would think good for her until obviously she gets her head beaten in. But yeah, that she kind of looks up and is like, it is very much like, you fool, you're kissing me, but I have the disease, in like a very short moment. And I think that very quickly turns into, oh hell, you're kissing me and I've got the disease. So I think it's like, I think there is a realization there, and maybe it comes with malice, but it very quickly turns into fear, because it's like, oh my God, yeah, like I don't want you to have this, and I don't want this to turn you. But yeah, I don't think she's particularly like, I don't think she's particularly happy to see him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of, if you're going to lean in and give me a smooch, there's going to be consequences, is a very fair way of looking at it, which I think is quite fun as well.
I just wondered, because they play so much on the idea that Don has left her. Like we flash back to that a few times. He's obviously lying to the kids. He feels immense guilt about it. But we never hear verbally what she thinks about that situation, because when she's found, it's after a few months of surviving on her own, and she's kind of completely traumatized. She's kind of feral at that point, even though she hasn't been taken over by the rage virus. So I just think there's a lot communicated during that look, and even if it isn't an intentional, I know I'm this and I will infect you, there's just I just wonder if there's a sense of like malice behind it, in terms of like I'm trying to get revenge on you being a coward and leaving me. And I think it's interesting that the rage virus, in the literal sense of it in the text, comes from potentially like that lingering rage that she has from being left alone, from being abandoned by the person that she loves and should have protected her. I don't know.
Oh, I love that. Like, she is infected with the virus. It is going to warp her rage, even if, like, she's not fully taken over by it. Yeah, having something a bit nasty in there, something that is affected, that is, amplified. That's a really fun interpretation. I love that. I think that that's definitely something you could run with as well, because the whole idea is that they've got this, they're a carrier. They're not necessarily immune. They still have the virus. It's still going to do things to them that nobody understands or even gets qualified ever, actually, because they drop it when they move to the next films in the series. It's, I love the idea that it has this kind of unknown effect of still making you just a little bit of a worse person.
Yes.
Just because it can.
Exactly. Like, just creeps in there a little bit, accentuates and plays on the things that are already in there. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh to poor Alice. She does go through the ringer, and it's
It would be nice to give her some autonomy, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
To be fair, it would be nice.
Exactly. Because from the moment she gets got at the beginning, she is in a bad way when she's found. Then she gets hosed down by the military guys in a scene that's as traumatic as the actual killing. And then she's brutally killed, and you're like, oh, good. Oh, you've done a lot of help. You did a lot of help there. But I guess just to go back, jump back before we jump forward. That opening scene, man, it just holds up every time I watch it. And I cannot believe that we did not talk about it with the 28 Days Later episode. But that piece of music, that the 28 Days theme, is played immediately here, and it's kind of used as a cheat song a few times. They play it twice more in the film, but good lord, is it not a good piece of music? And it fits so well over that intro where you have Don and he's running away from all of these infected. You've got this siege on the house. You see the infected coming over the hill and the music's playing. It is perfect, man.
Yes, I love this opening. It's so good. There's a reason it just ends up on all of the like best opening of films of all time, not even just horror films. Like, it's a great horror film opener, but it is just a great film opener. And again, yeah, the music, having it keep coming up, this repeated theme, it really makes me laugh when it comes up the third time. So I'm like, again, we get the point. Like, I like that we've got a vibe going here, but are we maybe using it a few too many times? But yeah, the composer that wrote it didn't kind of want it until later in the film originally. And then when he heard it at the start, he was like, this slaps. And it kind of like, you know, made it work for the scene that it's in. And I do think it works really well as the opening, like having it as a sequel and then bringing this reprise back from the film where it started off so early on feels like a really natural way of connecting the films together. I do think it gets a little, I think once more at the end would have been good, again a reprise, but having it twice was a bit cheeky. But it works really well at the beginning.
I think it does kind of sum up the intentions of the film, right? Like the first one has a lot of subtler moments, even when it comes to the score. Like, you get the build of it all the way throughout 28 Days, and then you get like the big payoff towards the end. Whereas this, it starts with like a huge action scene. It has the music front and center. You get that a few more times. It's just, in lieu of being maybe as smart or as complex, it just is like, we're going big. This is a pulpy, almost B-movie style horror, and I say that with full compliments. With like the full weight of a studio thrown behind it, and yeah, we're gonna play those cheat songs. We're gonna crank this up to max and have this like maximalist experience all the way through. And it definitely works, and I think it works to start with because it doesn't sacrifice character either. Like, it sets the stakes for the infected. It gives you that emotional core between Don and Alice, and it has that moment where he decides to leave her and then he's trying to get away on the boat, and it's just it's probably a blessing and a curse because it's kind of better than anything else the film has set piece wise. But I mean, why not use it if you have it?
Whoa. You're telling me the helicopter cropper isn't a great set piece? Because I love that. Yeah. That's so video game. Like, that's so Resident Evil, especially with all the inspiration from the first one. I swear that even like maybe even happened something similar in Requiem when the helicopter comes down. You know what I mean? Like, It feels like you get self-referential after a while, don't you? But yeah, the helicopter scene I think is really good. But this opening, I think it works so well because it is literally a mini zombie infected film before we even get into the meat of anything. It literally summarizes every popular zombie trope so quickly, which is, oh, can you trust this person that's coming in? And it's a child. So you're like, oh, okay, I've got to be nice about it. And then, you know, having these disagreements in the house, does it make you a bad person to not want to trust? Is everything going to be okay? Oh God, the Horde are here. Oh no, the real enemies are the humans, actually, because Don isn't going to protect his wife and has abandoned her so that he can get away much more quickly. What would you do in that situation, though? I would love to know, because like, if you're faced with exactly what Don is, which is somebody's come in, the Horde has arrived, everyone around him is dying and or dead. Your wife is running after a child that she has no connection to, but obviously is a young kid, doesn't know what he's doing, has run into a bedroom, and needs kind of guiding to safety. She's not listening. She's run after him. She's gone into the bedroom. Those two are in there. You're on the other side of the room. An infected's in the middle. You can shut the door and run for your life, or you can try and figure out some sort of distraction to save those two people. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say I would try to help, but I was watching this with my partner yesterday, and she turned to me at this scene and said, "You do that, that'll be you." So she doesn't have any faith that I'd actually do it, and in that situation,
I love it.
I think I would be quite the coward and run away. Maybe, I think the one thing I blame Don for is that in the process of getting up those stairs, he does kill a fair few infected. and then suddenly one is one too many, and he goes, that's enough for me. Goodbye, shuts the door and nicks off. But it is a good question because, again, I'd like to say that I would be the heroic savior in that situation, maybe even sacrifice myself. But would I? I don't know. How about you?
I'd be straight out there, man. I'd be like, see ya, you daft lady, I'm gone. I know I would. It's not a good part of me. It's not a good part of me that I like, but I was put in a haunted house situation, and the first thing I did was shut the door on my friend and ran when I felt true fear. So I authentically know I would run for my life and be like, the thing is, right, because I'm a chronic oversharer, I think I would just tell my kids. So I was like, sorry, I was a coward. Like, you know what I mean? Sorry, I was real scared and I had to get out and there was no way I was going to be able to save your mom. She actually ran after a kid that she thought was more important than getting back to you guys. So, I don't know. The thing is, right, there's a little bit of my... Obviously, I would love to say that I'd be super brave and kill an infected. I'd hope that would be how I would actually react in a real life situation because I'd want to save the people that I care about. But a little bit of my film trope hatred, which just comes out as, I guess, pure misogyny sometimes, is the women looking after the children thing. Like, why would I give a shit about this kid? Please, why am I running upstairs to the bedroom? Like, he's led the whole horde to our house, and now I'm like, oh, little boy. Everyone for themselves, please leave. You know, I'd be like, have him, eat him.
Have you not? The entire point, the entire thematic message of the first film is that that's more important. If you die being human. And they punish Robert Carlyle for doing that exact thing in this film. Go on.
Sorry. The whole point of this film happening and everything that goes wrong in this film is because they let kids back into London. Can I point out? They keep going, oh, we shouldn't have introduced children in so soon. We need to know the factors. We need to know what happens. The first thing they do is fuck everything up and kill everyone. I think it's to say kids are not the future. And then when they rescue them at the end, they do exactly the same thing again. So the kid gets rescued in the first half. Everybody gets killed in the house. The kids get taken back to London. They kill everyone in London. They pick them up, ship them off to France. France is now infected. The Eiffel Tower is getting fucked up. I'm sorry. I think at some point we just need to say zombie food. You know what I mean?
Zombie food. So I think you're right. At least that's where this film comes down to in terms of its takeaway opinion. And it's weird because the first one is very much not that, but this one, like you just described there, is very much like, okay, you can try to be human, but if you try that, everything's going to get fucked up and you're going to endanger more people. Even, when you get the order to just shoot everyone, it's obviously played as like a dark moment, but also the argument against it, like you described, isn't that strong from what the film is putting forward. You know what I mean? Like the danger is always there. And then when you have that hope of getting across the continent and going to France or going to wherever, and then the kids apparently leads to another outbreak. It's a recurring theme of, do we push our humanity down for the greater good? The first film says absolutely not. This film says maybe.
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 Yeah. God, I got in real bad trouble at it was a Directive 80-20 event, actually. They had a scare maze that you could do. And the defining bit of the scare maze is, we've spoke about Directive 80-20. Listen to the That Sick podcast episode on it. There is the main enemies, which are mimics. They get these two women in a box and are like, we're going to have to kill one of them. Do you know which one's the mimic? Oh my God. And it's like, you have to make this decision, one or the other. And I was like, kill them both. I was like, why aren't we killing them both? Like, that seems like the logical option. But if we don't know, we're going to have to kill them both. And they were like, no, it has to be one. And I was like, I think we could just kill them both.
Jesus Christ,
I'd be there like, firebomb London.
It would be. You'd be like, you know what, do it again. Just for fun in case there's any left. Yeah. Kids, we might have missed the kids. Get the kids gone.
Yeah.
I can't believe
we might have missed the kids.
The callousness in which I am hearing you explain this. I used to think I'd be able to rely on you in one of these situations, and now I know it's
Oh, God,
absolutely
no.
not. Like a few
100%
weeks
not.
ago, you were like, "Oh, I'd be useless. I'd just die. I'd be crap." And now you're like, "Kill, kill, kill!
Yeah.
Take them all out."
A lot has happened in those few weeks. Now, obviously, there's a piece of me that's having a little fun, but realistically, I don't know. I don't know what to do in that situation, and obviously nobody does, and everybody thinks they can have the right answer from afar. But once you're in there and you're trying to figure out how to literally save the world, and people become numbers and not like actual living human lives, like, have we gone too far? Like, has everything got to a point where it's unsalvageable? If you have to kill everybody in the room to save the rest of the people on the planet, is that the right thing to do? Like, technically, yes, but spiritually, no. Like, and how do you resolve that? And that constant question throughout this film of like seeing the real life individuals that it's affecting, as well as then maybe like, you know, what the air quotes canonically right thing to do is to protect people is, and the lengths that they will go to enforce that, like literally coming out with flamethrowers to cook people alive. It's such a brilliant allegory for like war and what people think is the right thing and where they're going to go and what they're going to gain from those things. And obviously I don't condone any of that at all. In a real world setting, it's incredibly different. In a horror film where I'm being silly, like, what's one thing? But yeah, I do think that it's a really good kind of, again, like spiritual, metaphorical, moral question of what cost is too high, and there's no real right answer in this scenario.
Yeah,
but then you get very The Last of Us, don't you? It's like, if there's one person who can change it all, is their life the most important thing as well? Like, should we be preserving them at all costs? Is Andy the most important person in this whole story? Is his life worth more than everyone else in that city? Can he fix everything? Should we be, you know, people are dying left, right, and centre. Doyle and Rose Byrne give their lives to protect him. Is that the right thing? Is that the right, you know, who's to say what life is worth more? Ah!
No, she even says it, doesn't she? At one point to Doyle, yeah. She says, like, listen, his life is worth more than ours, and I want you to know that. And that is, like you mentioned, The Last of Us there, which I'm sure will come up in our connected media, but it's a similar question of, well, do the ends justify the means in that way? I guess to go back to, like, one thing I love about this film is, like, it goes all in on showing you the wider institutional ramifications of the rage virus. Like, from in the first film, we have a very character-focused perspective, and we still have that here, but you're seeing it on the ground. You're seeing the fallout through their eyes. You're seeing Manchester on fire. Whereas here, you can kind of take that step back, and you've got this military regime coming in, and you see the minutiae of how it works. Like, how are they responding to this crisis? What are they doing? And I think my takeaway from what you just described there is their approach is pretty crap. Their approach is pretty naff. They kind of fail across the board to protect anyone. And I do think that consciously or otherwise links in with the major West stuff from the original film, where in that movie, you know, they are doing bad things, arguably worse things, definitely, than what the military characters are doing here, but they're doing bad things under the guise of the greater good, of, you know, we're the heroes, and we're going to justify all of these abhorrent actions to ourselves because we're the soldiers, we're a representative of these institutions in this country. And I do think you get a little bit of that here, where if you look at the treatment of the people they're supposed to be helping and saving, before it goes to shit and after it goes to shit, you think, I mean, it's the classic zombie thing of, well, are they any worse? Are they any bloody worse than the infected anyway? You know, when Alice comes back, like I said, before she gets brutally killed, it feels like a torture scene when she's getting hosed down, right? Like, it's an inhumane treatment. And when the infection starts, the response from a lot of the leaders with the people who are the civilians who are around, before they just start opening fire, they just kind of lock them in a garage somewhere, and they go, right, you guys all huddle in there. And then we get this scene where the infection starts to break out between them, and they ultimately die like cattle in the dark, with no one around to protect them. So it's one of those. I do think it kind of comes back to that idea of the people that are supposed to be there to help the supposed good guys are failing the people at every turn as well. And I think that like idea of institutional failure is something that crops up throughout the two films and also in the films to come as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head and like been incredibly eloquent with that. Well done, Josh. Really love that. But yeah, it is this institutional failure. It is literally like you arm people with tooth and nail with the rage virus, and you arm the other set with guns. And then what's the difference? What are we fighting here? What are we fighting for? Is a world that you've had to violence begets violence. Is a world where you've had to like feed into that for so long worth saving, and should you just firebomb it and start again? Yes. But yeah, like it is really, really interesting to think about and how you'd feel in those situations, because what we all want is for them to have a gorgeous little homestead, a hamlet where everybody goes and lives and they all create a community. We basically burn everything down and rebuild with socialism, where people like tend their crops and share with each other, and we have community gatherings, and what one person doesn't have, it's given to somebody else. Everybody shares it all out, and we see the beauty of that. And then every time we get one of those in an infected or zombie film, such as the house at the beginning, which literally is that lovely little commune, they destroy it so fast. It's like capitalism comes in and smashes it to bits and is like, no, remember this, the guns and the fighting is what we like, actually.
Yeah.
And then because I think it's really interesting that we get like a skyscraper filled city surrounded by military people, and it feels so bleak and grim. It doesn't feel like a safe, beautiful space to be because of the military presence, which is always a bit unnerving. But it is literally the Isle of Dogs in London, which is just like this cut off island not cut off, but it's like an island in the middle of the rest of London bits. Cool name. Also features in Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, it does.
It's got dogs on it though that time. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to have that as like the zombie setting again, much like 28 Days, where that London scene and how melancholy and nasty it is, and then seeing people kind of returning to it and them running through all the empty streets. Just how, I don't know. There's one thing when they're all abandoned in the countryside, and it's like, okay, maybe there's a life we can find here. As soon as they get back to like the carcass of capitalism, the carcass of a city, the dead bones of what once was in society, and start trying to live amongst it like rats, it feels just sickening. I don't know. It's just a real nasty image.
I know what you mean. Like I think you put it like really well there. Like that, seeing the normal like perverted in that way, and the expectation of, well, do we go back to this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we had before, but worse and bleaker, and with even more pressures on us. Like Don goes, he ends up being like the caretaker for the thing. He essentially goes straight back to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After his wife has died, to help, I guess, or is it just to justify like this American presence? I do think it's interesting that it is this outside presence as well, and America specifically, and not like a European country or anything that's come in. Obviously, the Britain and America has always had this special relationship, as they call it. So they're definitely playing on that. At the time, I'm pretty sure this was during the war in the Middle East, when both military factions were over there in like a joint operation. So they're definitely playing on that idea of, we have this superpower to lean on, they will come over and help. But is that going to serve the best interests of the people here? In this case, it kind of doesn't at all, because it 28 Weeks has that horror cliche almost convention that I love to see every time. It's when a hero gets through something by the skin of their teeth and it's ultimately meaningless. It just makes that ultimate death feel even worse. The fact that the intro also works so well, because you've seen Don like just get away. Everyone else has died. He's got through this thing. He's got back to his kids, and it's not enough. You got to keep doing it day in, day out. And if Ash Millman, if that isn't an allegory for real life, I don't know what bloody is. You get through one day so you can get through the bloody next, and one day it'll come for you. I just think it's brilliant when they kind of put it that way and to see it through these characters and makes those downfalls ultimately more bleak. And then you get that at the end with Andy as well, of course, and finally getting to safety, but it's not really safety. You got the American military coming in, and you think, okay, finally we'll see progress. And then through a series of mistakes, that's all reverted. They end up off in a worse position than they might have even otherwise. But I do love aesthetically. I've been rambling a while now, so I'm going to hand it over to you. I do love aesthetically that this feels very different from the first film, but still has its own identity and scuzzy aesthetic that they shared. This time, it's very much like it's a lot of CCTVs, a lot of surveillance footage from the military equipment, the graininess of the camera. I love the way it looks. In my head, sometimes I even think that 28 Days looks like this because to me, it's so visually signature to the series overall.
No, 100%. And I think it's the whole idea of kind of found footage cameras and voyeurism and being put up close and personal with someone, being put into their shoes when you're looking through their lenses. But that lens being a sniper scope is obviously not lost, where it's like, okay, yeah, we're put into the shoes of being these people that have like power and what they can use it for, and then seeing people, I don't know, just get dehumanized and sent off unless there are central characters. I just think it's a very, very good film. I think the action in it speaks a lot more than you think, maybe, when upon a first watch. At least, you know, like it's been a long time since I've watched it all the way through. Watching it again, I was like, yeah, it's actually got loads to say about hope and constantly pushing forward and trying to do the right thing and saving people and laying your life on the line for good and betterment. But is it enough? Always is the question, isn't it? Is it enough? Can you ever do enough? Will these horrible forces always come down and take it all from you? And what will you be at the end of it? And is that person okay? Probably not.
Probably not. I wouldn't
Probably
be.
not.
I don't think I'd be a shell of a man more than I even am now. No, yeah, 100%. Like that idea of the surveillance being parallel to like the sniper scope. We get a few scenes where Jeremy Renner and his buddies they're literally looking into the windows of the survivors. Under the guise of, well, we're here to protect you. We want to make sure nothing's going on. But they're just watching people like have arguments or put their kids to bed or have sex, you know, and like they're commenting on it.
Jacket, please. There was a whole thing about him pulling his pork. Let's address it.
He's pulling
Hog
his
watch.
plunger as well. Hog watch.
Yeah.
We get a very detailed description of the hog being pulled. But I think, it just makes you, as an audience member, I think, uneasy at the situation. And you mentioned before, you know, like London especially is, it's that famous thing of like pretty much you can walk from one end to the other and like you're captured on some form of CCTV. And that like surveillance, obviously again, like during the wartime period as well in real life is getting ramped up. We're in a period now where we have so much of our data like kind of given away, and we kind of don't question it as well. And just that ever presence of the lack of privacy and the observation and the dehumanization, like you mentioned, that comes from that. I just think it's embedded into the text itself with the characters and what you see, but it's also so well presented in the visual language of the film. And the choices that they make, like you said, the found footage elements, the sniper scopes, that voyeurism and the idea that you're being watched and what that does to people, I think is again another thing that I didn't quite give it enough credit for the last time I watched it, but really appreciated this time around.
Yeah, I tell you what else is good,
Go on.
and this is taking us back to the opening, because we started on the opening and then we followed the passage through. But the end of that opening bit, I just want to talk about how good of a trope it is. Zombies in water. Oh. I love zombies in water, and I know I'm calling them zombies and they're infected. Suck it, but I just think it's so scary, like seeing water-bound creatures, like that bit in Pirates of the Caribbean, which I definitely have referenced before already on this podcast, when all the skeletons walk across the bottom of the seabed, and then like, you know, getting into a body of water, not knowing what's underneath it, and like a person being in there, and we only see it very much as a, you know, them thrashing around in it and pulling Jacob underwater at the very start of the film. But I just think being in water with something that you can't see properly, that you know is trying to get you, and it's very fast and bitey, and then it turns out it's like this crazy rage-filled person, not even like a creature, I think is just, it's so scary. Like watching them in the boat, I just thought was so scary. And then like the motor going and the blood coming up.
It's just it's the chaos of it all, isn't it? Like you said, it's the splashing around, it's the water, it's not knowing what the hell's going on, it's the motor. I'm with you. Like one of the defining images in like zombie films for me is in Land of the Dead, when you get like the zombie army again. They sort of cross this river and they just start walking, and they just walk under the river and emerge out the other side. And they just kind of, that idea of, like you mentioned there, you don't know what's lurking beneath the surface. It's a little bit unknown, you know, like, and there's a person there, a monster trying to eat me. That is terrifying. I will say, you know, you mentioned it there, and we established last week that these are zombie movies. This is the most zombie movie of the lot because, again, they literally, unlike the first film, they actually bite people in this. And I didn't realize that before, but they kind of drop the pretense in this one and go, well, they're biting necks, they're biting faces, they're biting arms. They're not biking. I don't know why I keep trying to insist that they're biking. That's the one thing they can't do. But they do a lot of biting.
They could if they put their mind to it, because at the end of the day, they are just humans with a rage problem in it. So they could bike if they wanted to. Is the thing which I wish we saw more of. But I guess we've got to get over to the Years franchises to see a bit more brain pattern going on with our creatures. To be fair, haven't we?
We have a tease for a later episode.
Woo! But yeah, I again, that opening sequence, amazing. Oh, Danny Boyle was also part of creating it as well. As much as he was an executive producer on this, he contributed second unit footage for a lot of the opening sequence. So he was in the chair back again, making stuff for that bit, which is also why it slaps. Not to disrespect the rest of the film, but he just has such a he's got such an eye for it, hasn't he? He does. That I did not know that either. That is. I was going to give the original director a lot of credit for that, and I still will. But knowing he was the second DP for that is even crazier. Speaking of one thing that I do think this film does that the original couldn't, and also had no interest in, is just obviously, you know, the original famously, I don't know if you know this, Ash Millman, takes place 28 days after the virus actually happens. I know. What? Is that why it's called that?
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
Can you bloody believe it?
Holy hell.
Whereas this one, even though it takes place 28 weeks afterwards, we actually see, you know, Outbreak Day, for lack of a better term. You know, we see the full scale of it, what it would look like with an actual populace turning and the chaos of it. And I love the way it presents that. I think it's very exhaustive in terms of the scale, but I like that it even showcases and visualizes scenes that were only talked about in the first film. There's a great bit where Mark in the original, he talks about how like he lost his family and the people he was with, and he talks about this sequence where it's chaos and a bunch of people are trapped together and people start getting infected, and he doesn't know who's infected and who's not, and people are just slipping away. And they literally like do that scene within a new context here when all of the civilians are trapped in that garage as well. And it's so disorientating the way it's shot. Again, like he describes, you don't know who's infected and who isn't. You just got this massive writhing bodies on top of each other. And I just thought that was really cool. And again, it's something in conversation with the original. And you might argue you never needed to see that visualized because the actual description of it is so powerful. But they make it, they do it justice. They make it work. And it's one of the most chaotic and intense sequences in a series of intense and chaotic sequences.
Yeah, it's super Blade nightclub scene.
Yes.
They're like not cool and fun and like, oh yeah, Blade's gonna do cool stuff. It's very much like, oh god, this is horrible. There's a horror film. Is it The Collector 2? There's a bit where they're starting a nightclub and they drop that grate down on people and then like cut them all up into little cubes.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is The Collector 2, yeah.
It's that energy all over again, which I another great opening sequence. Ghost ship when the bit of wire comes over.
We need to start a ghost ship counter on this podcast. I think the amount of times that gets brought up. But yeah, it's a great scene. Do you have a favorite one, or is it the helicopter one?
Oh, helicopter. I do like the helicopter just because it instantly made me. I was doing my what I was watching whilst on my laptop, so I was like, oh, I've seen this one. I'll make my notes as I'm watching again, and I was like, can helicopter kill people controlled? You know, like I was trying to do like really specific Googles. 28 weeks later, helicopter real, and I think if you were a skilled enough helicopter pilot, aviator, I think you could do some people, but it would damage the... Okay, so what I learned is helicopters work by the rotors spinning, obviously. This is very simplified because I don't understand how helicopters work. I am not a helicopter pilot. But there's work by the rotors spinning, and it pushes air underneath the machine, as it were, so that you can get lift and push and all that kind of thing. It's the way that the blades are shaped. It's all about airflow pushing, which is what you'd expect from a rotor anyway. That's kind of like spinning around. So if you were to lean it forwards, you're not getting like levitation and stability. The way that it would work, because usually you would go up, it would push it forwards at a very fast increased acceleration.
Yeah.
So that would make it a lot more powerful for slicing people into paste, like, because it would just be going dead fast and would be able to handle a lot of brutalization as it goes. But if any damage or like, you know, big bones got in there and kind of caught or anything, there's no way you'd be able to control the spin, because as soon as if it stops the rotors from spinning, the force is going to go straight back into the helicopter itself, which then will spin out of control. So I think if you were going fast enough, I reckon you could mow down enough people in that way. Maybe not as many as were on screen, but I think like I think you could do like a good 5 people, I reckon, in my calculations.
5. Hey, you know what? That's not too bad, and it's good to know for future reference if I ever need to do that as well. And because I was always, not always, but I every time I watch it, I misremember that scene, and I always think Flynn dies. I always think he crashes it while he's doing it, but he doesn't. He gets off scot-free. So maybe I've just assumed that wouldn't be possible. And in my head, I replaced the scene, so instead of being victorious, he ends up going crashing into the ground or spins off like you described.
Yeah, you expect it, especially in anything like this where the helicopter is the way out. Usually the helicopter and the helicopter pilot and the helicopter blow up. Yeah. Alas, not this time. I do like the helicopter scene. I think it comes as such a surprise and such a cool set piece. The opening is categorically the best sequence in this film. I think my favourite would be Helicopter Mania. Like, just I love seeing the infected on the hills, and it happens in the opening as well, where they're on the hills as silhouettes running down to eat whatever they can see, I guess, or beat them up, whatever. And you get it again in the helicopter scene where they stand up, see all of the infected on the hillside, and then have to drop and try and hide. And just that like image of these people and this kind of like horizon that's been sullied by evil is really, really cool. Again, something that comes up in the later series that I think's done so well in 28 years, which we will get onto. But yeah, when you first I'll talk about it in the relevant episode. But yeah, so good. And I think getting a taste of that here in that scene, and then it being super bloody and gory, and like I just love something that's like a big testament to special effects, whether they're CGI or preferably practical. And I think that is it. Though I do have a big soft spot for the night vision in the dark and them trying to like overcome a bunch of dead bodies and get into the subway system altogether, and then Mr. Carlisle coming out. I think that whole run of sequences is really good as well. It's
such a good classic horror setup, that, isn't it? Like it almost goes full found footage, you know, like as if you're looking down the night vision of a camcorder, which will if movies just a few years removed will start doing towards their climaxes. But yeah, having it be the night vision of the gun, and again, I mentioned it before, but seeing people's eyes do that thing where it's like a deer in the headlights, which you see down the night vision scope. I also have a soft spot for that, absolutely. But yeah, the special effects of the helicopter and the rotor and what you described there of the infected on the hillside. That is, you can tell why they ran with that in 28 years. And again, not to spoil too much from that episode, but it is such a striking image. And I remember seeing the opening, especially before I'd even watched the movie, and naturally assuming that it was going to happen later on. That was going to be like the big payoff, and just being so shocked at how effective it was, because I was thinking again, like, you can't do that this early. You're not allowed. This isn't allowed. You can't show me something this terrifying that, throws off my equilibrium this early. So I'm pleased you shouted that out, because what an image, man. What an image. What a setup. It's so good. I don't even think I've got anything to alternate that with. I would just want to say that I think Robert Carlyle as Don is one of the all-time great, like, zombie performances. He's committed to that bit. And every time he turns up, he is very, very scary, very, very intimidating. And he survives a firebombing somehow, so he's pretty hard as nails, right?
This is why I say we have to do it twice, just to make sure. What would be your favourite scene then? Would you say opening?
Probably opening.
Helicopter.
Opening helicopter is iconic. It is iconic, and that would definitely be up there. I do like the scene where Doyle sacrifices himself. It's very signposted.
Yes.
Very straightforward, but imagery-wise, I love the image of, at this point, I think it's either the remnants of the firebombing with the smoke. I've seen some people say that they also drop like chemical weapons into the streets, which I guess it might be as well. But the point is, you've got all of this white fog billowing through the streets, and it's being cut through by people in like these hazmat suits with the flamethrowers, and that, I'm a sucker for that image, man. It crops up a few times. And when it crops up here, it is so striking, and so it kind of puts the fear in me that I imagine people who saw plague doctors back in the day had. They're turning up with the masks and the cloaks. It's like these guys are the modern day equivalent, man, coming with their flamethrowers and their white suits, and they're purging everything that they see. It's a very, very effective image in a series of very effective images.
Yeah, I do think that's the other real standout moment, purely for like hearing Jeremy Renner like scream whilst being burnt to death as well. I think it's so good.
You can't hold back. That guy burns to death. Like, you expect to see a little bit of it, and then whatever stunt guy they had in there or dummy that they use, they linger on that a lot. Again, another sort of visual parallel or motif with the first one, when you have the opening with Selena and the Molotov cocktails and the zombies on fire there. Like, just these little, they're not even like meaningful thematically, but these little images that crop up in these movies that kind of tie them together in a way subconsciously, I'm really appreciative of. I do want to get into one thing in regards to that, though, very quickly. I don't have the research or knowledge of it overall, but all the way through this film this time around, I was just really took back again by the visual language and how much of a post 9/11 film it is, playing on that disaster imagery that War of the Worlds did. Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds is so entrenched in that like post 9/11 visual language. And this, I kept thinking of War of the Worlds when I was watching this, and I think it is just that convincing element of urban catastrophe, like the realism of it, the military presence, the CCTV footage, the bloody white smoke billowing through the streets, all of that, like the bodies piled high. It's just such a striking depiction of a dystopia in a post-apocalypse, and it did remind me a lot of those early scenes from War of the Worlds where Tom Cruise is running through and people are getting vaporized and he's covered in their ashes. It's just I had a lot of shades of that. And I didn't know if I was being a bit too mad or looking into it. And again, I won't go into it too deep because I didn't research it too much, but I was looking at some reporting from the time and people talking about its relationship with the the war in Iraq from that period, and again the post 9/11 filmmaking techniques. So I was just thinking, at least I'm not deep in this too much. Someone else has at least thought of this back in the day, but visually very evocative of that.
Yeah, for sure. There was a few different commentaries on it being like an anti-war sentiment or an anti-Bush sentiment as well, kind of like a critique on the handling of things like that, and then how that impacted society as well, for like the war, and then also post 9/11 stuff. There's definitely a load of really interesting commentary that could be had there that I also am not educated enough in that side of things to be able to give worthy commentary on, but I think it's very fair that we say it exists. You can get it in another podcast.
yeah. Maybe the next one. This was this is a fun, not too deep one for me. I didn't want to bring the vibe down. And to be fair, I don't think I'd have been able to, because it's a really serious topic. And when you said the anti-Bush agenda there, I just thought, well, what's wrong with the bush? Grow it out if you want to. Hey,
you shaved your bush.
You shaved your bush. Hey.
Yeah.
That's as deep as I can get on this analysis right now, because I'm not smart enough. So I'm making a pubic hair joke instead.
Hooray! Claps. Yeah, that's where we're at with this. So I tell you what, instead of deep in that, shall we talk about fun facts instead?
Yeah, man, hit me with some fun facts.
Because I got some fun facts, and these are mostly just kind of like just bits of interesting trivia than super fun stuff, I would say. The first one being that, did you know, in the scene we were just talking about with Doyle getting crisped in the air fryer, he was actually supposed to die where Scarlett was, Ms. Rose Byrne, and vice versa there, but they swapped the characters' deaths because they thought it added a bit more of a sense of peril having Scarlett with them at the end instead of Doyle. I guess because one is like trained military sniper man, and the other is our medical professional desperate to save the cure, but not quite as armed as he is. But I thought that was interesting that they thought just thinking about Scarlett getting cooked alive in the flamethrowers would have had a bit of a different vibe to it, considering how much she was like we gotta save these kids.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of pleased they did that. As you know, we always bring this podcast back to gender. Like, I think it would have been one step too far. I think maybe for me personally, if you had the two most brutal deaths be like these women who have done nothing wrong, and it's like, we'll reserve that for these guys. So I like that instead they gave Jeremy Renner's Doyle an absolute brutal end. And I mean, Rose Byrne doesn't exactly get off, easy. She does get her face smashed in with a rifle, but
nobody dies nicely, to be fair.
It's true. It's not a film for nice deaths, is it?
No, which I like to see.
Yes.
I like to see how creative they can get. I bet Jeremy Renner wrote about this on his app so much.
Do you think he remembers being in this film? He must have done a lot of films back in the day where we as the audience forget, and he as an actor forgets. Oh, yeah, I was in Mission Impossible. Oh, yeah, I was in 28 Weeks Later. Because he just kind of shows up in sequels in these franchises. And even he's got to forget some of them.
That's why you set up the app, man. So you get it all in one place. You can have all your Jeremy Renner goodness on the Jeremy Renner app. He must forget. This was pre-MCU as well. So, like, if I were cast in the MCU, I think I would forget everything beforehand and be like, okay, my life as an actor begins now. I've been validated. Let's go.
Do we see? I was wondering this, and I didn't know if I just switched off for a second. Do we see what happens with Idris Elba's character? Because he just kind of disappears at one point towards the end, and he never shows back up.
I don't know, and that's not a great answer. But I don't know.
I'm gonna assume that we just don't see him again, because he just kind of has an end, and then he's not welcome in the rest of the film, despite playing quite a heavy part towards the start.
I think he's basically, because he's like giving military orders and doing his thing, and then Mr. Renner runs off to do personal tasks. I think we don't see that much more of him, really, because we're not getting that inside perspective. It would just be kind of more like Machiavellian villain coded if it was like, let's watch Idris Elba like call in all of the strikes and everything. Like, we don't actually need to see it that much, but that's not to say that we don't. besides going, oh yeah, Idris Elba, I have forgotten the rest of his appearances because there was a lot more going on.
Yeah, you're right. It is interesting that there's not really a villain in the film. Like, you do have like that military presence, but it's not as overt as Mr. Henry West. Have I got that right? Yeah, Henry West in the first film and his band of horrible soldiers who were like, you know, if that film has an antagonist, it's them. Whereas here, you can probably class Don. He is the recurring monstrous threat, but you don't really have that human antagonist to go against. It very much is the infected and like the outcome of that and just the chaos of it. I just thought that was, because even as we'll get on to, like 28 years later movies both have like identifiable villains, both human and infected. So this is like maybe the only one that doesn't. And I don't think that's a negative at all, but I think it's quite cool.
I think it's maybe like the worst villain you get in it is the system.
Yeah.
That's about it, to be fair. And yeah, Don, I don't know, as much as I called him a worm at the start, I do think he's the most human character of all. To err is to be human, you know. To make mistakes is to be human. And then to be infected with rage virus is to be a zombie. So it changes up very quickly for him.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what, Charles Dickens said. I don't know who the hell said to err is to be Shakespeare?
No, I think it was Charles Dickens in his book 28 Days Later. I think that's where he said it.
I think it was David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. That's where I think that came from. If there's anybody going to be dropping wisdom, it'll be David Hasselhoff.
Got it.
We've given up on. Usually we'd be like, okay, let's just go and look that up, and then we'll come back to the podcast and we'll say it as if we knew it all along. Neither of us have have paused this at all to look at anything.
Nope. We are just free falling with this. We don't know what happens to Idris Elba. We don't know who said that quote. All we know is we stick by our convictions. Speaking of, have you got any more fun facts for me?
Yes, Don and Alice are hiding out in that lovely little cottage at the start of the film. It's also the same one that was in Children of Men in 2006.
Ooh. Oh, I almost brought this up when I was talking about the visual language because it's very Children of Men looking anyway. So to know they literally shared sets. I can see that a lot. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Love that.
I believe the cabin also appears in 2010 hit Never Let Me Go as well as Children of Men and 28 Weeks Later as well.
Wow. That is brand new information I am learning for this first time. And we definitely did not have to cut anything after giving it the big one about not cutting anything from this podcast. Nope, Never Let Me Go. I have heard of that. And Children of Men, of course, iconic and is very of a piece with this film visually, I think. Never Let Me Go. I would never have got that in a million years, to be fair, but you know.
Well, neither would I, apparently. It's just deleted from my memory and the internet. But yeah, that was one of the locations that was used there. Robert Carlyle also was supposed to be our man West in 28 Days Later and turned down the role, so came in for this instead.
Oh, I think I prefer him here. I think that's wound up very, very well for the entire franchise.
Yeah, I agree. Though, I feel like both of them would have done well in either role, but Robert Carlyle much better here for sure. Yeah, I think that that's fine actually, isn't it? That's just good.
Yeah, that's just a good one, Ash. You've done well there.
There was a really funny quote which I didn't write down, but it was basically him being like, "Oh man, I was worried it was going to be crap because like he was like, oh god, the first one was so good, and now I've got to be in this one. I hope it's all right." And he was like, "Yeah, but it was." So that made me laugh as well. We've also got the last scene as well. The Paris scene was actually a last minute addition. I don't think they originally properly planned for it, but that to film it guerrilla style, and I mean with a U, not like the animal, in France, and they just did it with like 12 extras at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just them running around with a camera, which I think is really funny if you just think about the bodies being left downtown and a hairdresser discovering them and then turning up to the Eiffel Tower and just seeing 12 zombie extras running around. Would be really funny.
I think I'd shit myself, definitely. If I saw that on the news, I would believe it 100% that something bad was going down.
100% brown trout hours. I would be not happy. The last one I've got is just a fun connective bit of tissue. The boy at the beginning who turns up to ruin everything says that he's from Sandford. Now, Sandford is the name of a fake village used by British police to train recruits, as maybe we would know in Hot Fuzz. You know?
I thought I was going crazy with this. When he said it, I was like, that's from Hot Fuzz. It is from Hot Fuzz. Amazing. Yeah.
So it's the same name as the town in Hot Fuzz where all of the business goes down in there, and maybe a little bit of a back with an in-joke, because in 28 days later, when everything's established there, Shaun of the Dead is then made, which is basically a rip on that, and they say that rage-infected monkeys caused everything as like a little joke as well. And then to have this kid in and say he's from Sandford feels like a little bit of back and forth between them as creatives, because Hot Fuzz being the next one from the Cornetto trilogy of the people who made Shaun of the Dead as well. So just a nice fun in-joke there.
Amazing.
Movie theory alert.
They're in the
same universe.
The infected people coming for our characters at the beginning were all of the main cast members of Hot Fuzz. Maybe Hot Fuzz was a prequel to Shaun of the Dead, and then this is how it all happened. I believe that.
Oh, untangled. We've figured it out.
Yes.
The red thread. And the last one I've got is just this film should have been 29 days later, and it was going to be about an SAS evacuation for the Prime Minister or the Queen, which I think would have been so funny. Imagine SAS Queen rescue mission done by Danny Boyle in this serious like helicopter mashup style. Like people just dying left, right, and centre, and they're like, "Mom, come with me." Oh, I don't know. I just think it'd be so good.
What's that Gerard Butler series where he has to save the president like over and over again, like White House Down or whatever?
White House Down, yeah, White House Down.
Done that with 28 days. I'd have gone for that. Funnily enough, when Danny Boyle went on to direct the 2012 Olympics opening ceremony when it was in London, he should have done it then. Imagine if, because he does a bit with the Queen there, but it's a James Bond riff. But this time, you should revisit that and make that happen. That would be wild.
I reckon he shelved it for the Olympics. He was like, 29 days later happens. No! Get the Queen on a zip line!
I think Danny Boyle, I reckon he would have gone, you know what? In the future, I plan on doing the 2012 Olympic opening ceremony. And I might piss the Queen off should I make this sequel. So to keep her in my good graces, in my good books, I won't make this film. I don't want to see any... I'm just trying to think, like the president of the United States shows up in so many films. Horror films, non-horror films. He's an ever-present kind of thing, played by various different people, obviously. The Prime Minister of England, I don't think I ever want, fictional or otherwise, ever want to see playing a central role in a film. Like, that would be strange. It's just strange how it makes sense for a president, but not the Prime Minister. One gives me the ick, and the other is a Gerard Butler franchise. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. But then there's fun stuff about like the King and the Queen and like the King's speech, I guess. The King's speech and Bridgerton.
Yes, the Crown. Princess, you know what?
Crown. That's what I meant, not Bridgerton.
if it was Princess Diana.
Yeah.
Maybe this...
Oh, yeah. What? Princess Diana SAS rescue mission from zombies.
There we go.
Oh, I'd have loved that.
Yeah.
I'd die. The People's Princess would have loved that.
Oh, yeah.
The only PM that is allowed in TV or film is the Black Mirror episode. That's the one time that he's been around.
Maybe we should do an episode or episodes on various Black Mirror episodes. And
oh God, yeah.
The word episode. I think that's still my favorite. That opening one with the Prime Minister. Harrowing.
Oh,
harrowing business.
I used to say that, and people would call me a creep or pervert.
This is why we're good pals. You know, this is a
Yeah.
safe space to admit that is a really good episode and scary.
It is.
Yeah.
Of the first season, that's the best one of the first season. For
Hard
sure.
agree. Hard agree. Hard agree.
Yeah. And oh man, anything pre-season 4 before it got Netflixed is just the best. I like the Netflix ones as well. I'm not going to pretend I don't. But it's the first 3 seasons. Oh, and the Christmas special.
Oh, the Christmas special.
Oh!
I always say I'm going to go back to it because I love John Hamm, but I've only ever done it one time.
I saw a funny video of John Hamm the other day with some guy who was doing vox pops on the street, and the guy just like asks random questions and was like, "Would you?" I think he just literally ran up to a woman and said, "Would you have a threesome with me and John Hamm?" And she goes, "No," and then walks off and turns around and goes, "Wait, John Hamm!" And she was like, "Not you, but John Hamm, yeah," and then runs off, and you can see him like.
You know what? Speaking of moral dilemmas, that's a good question that I've never thought of before. Would you do a threesome with someone that you really fancy and they were a part of it if it also meant someone that you really didn't fancy were also involved?
Ooh.
I don't know if I would. Maybe.
Ooh, this is an interesting question because, like, on the one hand, this is the thing, right? I guess it really, really does depend on, do I just really fancy them in a carnal way, or am I trying to, like, wife them up? Because if I were interested in them romantically, no way would I be able to do that, because I'd be like, oh no, I can't see you get like got by someone I don't know, I would not like that. Whereas if I was just like, hey, I'm down to clown, but also friggin', I don't know, Kevin's here as well, I'd be like, I guess.
Okay, I suppose if that's your stipulation.
Why not?
Come on,
Might be
Kevin.
Funny little story.
That's interesting. The difference between a carnal want and a relationship maker.
Yeah.
Is it just the idea of seeing them do with someone that isn't you? Or
yeah, 100%. That would.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a like, oh, ouch, my feelings moment, as I think it would be for a lot of people. I'm not, nothing but respect and love for my polyamorous kings, queens, and in-betweens. Nothing but love for anybody who identifies as polyamorous. But it's just not for me at all. It's just not for me. I am too all or nothing, I think. And to see someone else whilst I'm there, I'd be like, whoa.
Just wanted to clarify, I didn't know if you just had something against Kevin. I'll tell him not to come.
Yeah.
I'll tell him he's not invited.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
No, it's all right. Yeah. No worries, Zach.
Easier. What are you saying, you wouldn't do it at all?
I think I would. I think I would. Yeah. I don't, not to elaborate too, I think I would do it. I think I would.
Yeah.
I'd go, okay. But I think that's because I am, if someone that I fancy told me to do anything, if they told me to like jump off a cliff, I'd probably go, all right, go on then.
Oh,
for you.
Do I have to do it with Kevin?
Does Kevin have to be here for this one? Can we just do this out on our own? Can we not have one night where Kevin isn't kicking around? Jesus.
Oh, but yeah, there you go. But I guess it's much to think about. How did we get onto this?
I have no fucking idea, actually.
Neither do I.
I cannot remember. I think it was...
Oh, Black Mirror stuff.
That's it.
And
I
John
still
Hamm.
don't know. John Hamm. The John Hamm question. It was the John Hamm question. Yes.
Yeah. Would you have a threesome with John Hamm and Kevin? Is the question.
Is the question.
And the answer, I think, is yes. For both of us here.
Unless I thought I was going to, marry John Hamm, in which case we can't, as we've established. What a shame.
I tell you what, I mix up John Hamm all the time in my head with Mr. Ham from Toy Story. I always think people are talking about the little pig. Like, until recently as well, I've been like, oh, there's a man called John Hamm.
All right, I've got another moral dilemma for you. I don't know if this one's going to work. Which of the toys from Toy Story? Smash or pass?
Oh, see, Buzz Lightyear's a massive simp in the recent film, Toy Story 5.
Right, okay.
And I do love myself a simp. So, maybe Buzz Lightyear, but I think realistically, probably Slinky Dog.
Oh man, Slinky Dog's so your type.
He's such a little like
that's nothing has ever made more sense than that in my head. Actually, you saying that.
Oh yeah,
I get it. I see it. All right, thank you for that. Establish that. We can move on.
How about you? How about you?
I've got the potato heads. I'd like to see what they're up to together.
Oh my goodness!
Why not? The potato heads see you from across the bar. They say, "Hey, do you want to come? Kevin's at home."
No, you're saying that to the potato heads. You're like, "Hello, wonderful couple. Can I get in the middle?"
No, I think they're out of the bars, man. They're prowling.
Yeah.
I mean, they've literally got their bag of toys inside them at all times.
Oh, brother!
Whoa!
It's very Megan the Stallion. Switch my wig up, make it feel like he's cheating. But like, it's just different mouth and eye pieces. Create your own spud.
Oh God, the implications of it are horrible. I don't want to think about it. Let's move on. I don't like it anymore. It scared me.
There's so many holes just round.
No, they're too modular.
Oh, right. Okay, I've got something that's going to ruin your mood even more for this connected media bit. So I'm going to start us off, right? And what I'm going to recommend, I'm doing it with my whole heart. I was going to say Ussy, but The Happening.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Explain.
M. Night Shyamalan's finest work. I am recommending The Happening because I kept thinking of The Happening whilst I was watching this. I was like, wow, is this like a good The Happening? And I like M. Night Shyamalan films, right? I don't think The Happening is as bad as everyone says it is. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. And I think the idea, everyone went on about the idea being really lame. No, it's not. That's a cool idea. It's a cool idea.
Agreed.
Just executed a little shakily. With Marky Mark.
that's well, I'm gonna have to go back, but that's a very polite way to say it's executed shakily is very generous, I think, to the overall film. But
I look right. I would not be as deep into horror media as I am without appreciating a good idea.
Yeah.
You know? I always think a good idea pips a good execution. You know, I'm a real film appreciator. And The Happening is a film I appreciate. So just to give context, if you don't know what The Happening is, infamous for being a very bad film online by M. Night Shyamalan, so comes built in with a hearty twist. Follows Marky Mark, aka Mark Wahlberg, and a small group of survivors as they basically try and outrun a mass extinction event where humans, for some reason, are all deciding to how to say this sensitively. Humans are dying by suicide across the everywhere, basically, and they escape to like the countryside and try and figure out what's going on. It's got loads of really gnarly scenes in it of how people are being swayed to hurt themselves. And yeah, there's a couple of scenes in it that really got me when I watched it when I was younger. There's one bit where there's a shotgun and a door sequence, which I think is actually really strong and probably realistically how people would react if you stopped bothering them in the apocalypse, or what you'd believe to be the apocalypse. And the reveal of what the twist is, again, I'm a Happening defender. I think that's a good idea. I'm not going to say what it is because I won't spoil it, but I think, hey, M. Night Shyamalan knows what's up. And the opening's really good as well when that man gets run over by a lawnmower that he sets up for himself. I thought that was really cool. I was like, can you tell I watched this when I was like 14 and have just remembered it ever since?
Hey, you know what? Fair play. I am not as much of a Happening defender as you are, but I also think it's got some good ideas. I also don't think the twist is it's all right conceptually. Again, it's all in the execution, right? And there are some great scenes in it, especially towards the beginning. And some that are very evocative of the opening of 28 Days as well, I think, when you have that one where you just have, like the characters falling off buildings or whatever it is, walking into the street. Go on, you're laughing now.
So-
Go on.
I am laughing because that's the one bit that, like, it's really good. It's a really good shot that feels very, like, melancholic and dark, where it's basically just hundreds of people. This is at the very beginning of the film, so I feel like it's not too much of a spoiler, as Josh said. It's hundreds of people jumping off the edge of a roof, and the camera is underneath, so you see them falling past the camera as if, like, it's from the position of the pavement, but it's CGI'd to fuck. So, like, it's got this really, really... again, evocative, like scary, like meaningful thing happening, but you can just see like the blurry blobby outline of them, like they're in like Mecha Chameleon or something, like just dropping from the sky.
Well, that is fair. Like you,
Yeah.
I'm going off the memory of that scene. I have not watched it since I was about 16, so the CGI in my mind is almost certainly 100 times better than it actually is in practice.
Yeah.
Is that all you got for the happening? Should I go on mine?
I think I should leave the happening there, yes.
No, I think you should speak your truth, and if the happening is your truth, the happening starring Marky Mark and Zooey Deschanel, if that is your truth.
Yeah.
Then
I forgot Zooey Deschanel is the actor in it as well. It's such a rogue lineup.
It is kind of like 28 weeks. You know, again, I've mentioned my dad already once in this podcast, but my dad declared that Zooey Deschanel was the worst actor he had ever seen after watching The Happening. And I think that's harsh. Joe, I think that's harsh, mate. I think you've gone a bit far there. She's not even as bad as Marky Mark in that film.
No.
My choice, though, is, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it is The Girl with All the Gifts.
I'm glad you brought this up because I've seen it once and thought, oh, this reminds me a lot of The Girl with All the Gifts. But I haven't seen it enough to be able to sit there and go, this is what it's about and this is why it reminds me of it. So this is great because I'm going to sit back and go, yep.
Well, you know what? I was hoping that you would have seen it since, because I also haven't seen it in a while, but probably more recent. No, I really enjoyed this. This kind of came out of nowhere, and I saw it in the cinema just on a whim, and I was really impressed by it. I think it came out in 2016, so it was post The Last of Us, which is important because it felt to me like it had a lot of parallels with The Last of Us. It's about, similar to this, like a sort of zombie-esque outbreak. I think it's a parasite in The Girl with All the Gifts, and it kind of causes the world itself to have that Last of Us sort of fungal infection style. The ground and civilization is being reclaimed by like the earth and these growths, visual style. But the reason I bring it up is because it has that military focus that 28 Weeks leans so heavily on. It's about this, again, a special child, without spoiling too much. It's about this special child and a bunch of different special children that are under observation by one of like the last remaining military forces. And it goes to places that I didn't expect it to, again, being as vague as possible. And it kind of takes that narrative of, you know, like the soldier, the grizzled veteran, the team that needs to put everything on the line, sacrifice their own lives for this child and the future of humanity. And it puts a really great subversive twist on that as you go through it. It's got some really good scares and set pieces. I remember it being really well acted. I know it's definitely got some names in there somewhere. Can't remember them off the top of my head. Paddy Considine and Glenn Close are two that come to mind. So pretty good. It definitely has that like Britishness to it as well, that dystopian kind of like Britishness to it, and you got like the countryside and the military bases and all of that. It's just cool and very visually reminiscent and even narratively reminiscent of The Last of Us. Would recommend it.
Yeah. Also, filming took place in Birmingham. Shout out West Midlands.
Holy shit, I didn't even know that. Of course it does.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. The West Midlands represent yet again.
Filming took place in Birmingham because they closed down the streets. And I remember this so specifically, right, because me and my mom went to Birmingham that day, not realising that this was being filmed there. And we needed to go to the salon shop to buy a backwash for her salon, like a place where you wash your hair. And we couldn't get the road down to get to the salon shop because everything was shut, so we had to figure out a way around all of the blockades to get there. It really was like Girl with All the Gifts in real life.
So you're telling me that your mum, a local hairdresser from downtown,
Oh my god!
had an encounter with a zombie production that you didn't know was happening. We've come full circle. How do we extend?
And there was bodies.
How do we extend this gag even further? That's its natural conclusion.
Whew, I know that's pretty good actually.
Yeah.
The hairdresser from downtown did stumble onto a zombie production. So what the hell? We've made it.
We can end that there. Brilliant. No, that's so sick.
Yeah.
I like. There's nothing that has ever filmed around here apart from 28 years later. In Kes, of course, the two. I mean, you know my history with Ken Loach. The less said about that, the better. The less said about that, the better. But when 28 years later filmed up here, I didn't get to see it. I almost applied to be an extra in it, but they wanted someone who could run, and so I didn't because I wouldn't have gotten chosen.
Josh Brown, you didn't even apply.
You know what? I have a pal who I used to work with What Culture called Adam Strawn, and I really wanted him to apply because he's very fit and he is also an actor himself, and he never did. And I just thought it would be perfect for him to do it.
Oh.
I think they wouldn't have needed much makeup to make me look like an infected, so that would have been a plus.
They'd have been like, oh God, it's 28 weeks later again, he's back. Robert Carlyle, son of Robert Carlyle. He'd have confused everyone.
Oh my God, you're right. You know how everyone mistook the zombie in the 28 years later thing for, what's his chops?
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. They'd have been doing the same thing, and I've been like, no, it's not Robert Carlyle. It's me. It's just little old me. Don't worry. It's actually my dad. He's an extra. Yeah. It would have been a better story if I did apply and actually did get it, but I didn't. So it's not much of a story at all, but it's just a big regret in my life. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, do you want a prime piece of Ash lore that I think I've told you before, but you can have it again?
Always.
About acting. I was very nearly the next Rey in Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
You have told me this before.
Yeah.
I don't think you've told me it on camera though, so I think you should tell the people.
Very close. I came. By that I mean they held an open audition in Manchester, and me and my friend Beth went there at 5 a.m, queued up until the morning time. I think it was like 10, 11 when we got in. There was so many people there, and they literally just filter you through like based on look first for headshots. And they filtered me in and filtered Beth out. So I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I've got to go and get cast, Beth. And ended up like sitting down to talk to the people, and was like, oh, this is my experience. I did modelling at the time, so I was like, oh, I've done this, I'm comfortable in front of a camera. And I got a call back to go and film in front of the camera to get sent off to the producers. So me and Beth sat there all day. She helped me with my lines. I love Beth. She is an angel. Josh knows Beth. Angel confirmed. And she, busted her ass with me, so we learnt these lines to be able to do it. It was a piece from The Hunger Games when Peter and Katniss are in the cave, one of her favourite films of all time, so we had a great day. And I went and did this audition with an undiagnosed anxiety disorder, I believe. So I was very, very scared. And I got in front of the camera, and they were like, okay, we'll read you in. We'll start doing the first bit of the line. They're ready in, and I fully was like, I just couldn't do it. So I was like, I was speaking the words, but there was nothing coming out with it. That I can't remember the thing verbatim, but it would be like, it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna read you in. Hey Katniss, how's it going in the cave? And I'd be like, yes, Peter. It's going really well, thank you. Shall we go and collect the herbs for the rest of the Hunger Games? And they were like, do you want to do that again? And I was like, yeah, I will. And I went, yes, Peter. It was so bad. And they literally went, okay, yeah, we'll be in touch.
Oi, you have told me the story before. You never got in depth about the process before. That is unbelievable. I didn't even know you got to the point where they called you in to actually read lines.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
They filmed me. I think I still have the bit of paper that they wrote my callback time on. Somewhere I put it away because I was like, wow, Ray. Ash Millman.
That footage will almost certainly not exist anymore. I need to get in touch with every contact I have to try and track that down. Maybe I'll find it by the time you're 40. I'll get you in as a 40th birthday present. I'll put it.
I never want to see that again. That's your 40th birthday present, not mine.
I'd appreciate it as well. That would bring me endless joy seeing that. Oh, you know what? Imagine the first off, I cannot believe Beth is still mates with you after that situation. If I was there with a pal and their headshot was chosen but mine wasn't, I'd be like, you can fuck off. I don't ever want to be associated with you ever again. But imagine the trajectory of your life had that gone extremely well. That's crazy.
I know. Really weird to think about. Can you imagine Ray with a proper Wolverhampton Black Country accent?
I think it'll.
What do you mean? I'm a Skywalker.
How would that not work? That would be so good. I think it would fit.
I'm a
I'm
Jedi.
a Jedi. Brilliant.
It would be great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh man, J.J. Abrams, he has missed a trick. That would have. Maybe people would think more fondly on the Star Wars sequels had Rey had a West Midlands accent, had a Wolverhampton accent.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think they really did miss out. Alas, you didn't make it to 28 years later. I did not make it to The Force Awakens.
Hey, as we established last week, I think, with the director of Hawkham, that life's still young. You never know. Yep. Our big break might be around the corner. I might get cast as an extra in something. You might get cast as the lead in something. We might change lives. You never know.
I did get cast as an extra, and I don't think the film is coming out anymore, so we'll never see it, but I had a lot of fun.
That seems to happen quite a lot. I've noticed that with a lot of my friends who have been cast as extras and things. Actually,
yes,
it's hard to get a film over the line, in fairness.
And I did not get paid. So I did it for free, and I was there for 12 hours for 3 days.
Oh, my God. For the love of the game. For the love of the game. I know.
It was a zombie film as well. I was fully made up as a zombie.
Bloody hell. What the hell?
I know.
I need to inquire about that. I want to see that.
Me and Sarah, Saz was as well. And we both had featured deaths.
Oh.
Because it filmed in Wolverhampton. And they were like picking people to have like deaths for like actual death scenes. And me and Saz got one as zombies that got killed in a very specific way by a very specific person. Which would be canonically hilarious if it ever came out.
It's got to. That's one I can actually campaign for. The footage of you auditioning to be Ray might not exist. This I can campaign to get it released. Or at least me to have the personal footage so I can see it. Yeah. That would be amazing. One question for you. What would you do if you were in a Beth situation where you and Saz were going for this and they looked at the headshots and went, all right, we'll go for Sarah. You can go away. Would you take it well?
I'd kill her. I'd be like, oh, sorry, she's dead now. You have to use me, I guess.
Amazing.
I know. I'd do the thing where you go, I'm really happy for you. Shall we practice the lines together? Why are your teeth clenched, Ash? They're not.
I'm practicing.
This is how I speak now. Sorry. Anyway, let's. Do you have any more connected media?
I do. Is it my go? Is it your go? I think it's your go. Isn't it?
Yeah, I'll drop a quick one. Carriers. If you've seen it, I know you have.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Oh, it's a great show.
Carriers, great film. Again, going off a very old memory, but I really enjoy. I actually had it on DVD. I liked this one so much. This was back in my days of physical media a little bit more. And I had Carriers on DVD and watched it a few times. It is about a group of friends in kind of an end-of-the-world disease situation, the huge, and they are traveling to a remote location to try and basically wait out the end of the world. And it's about their journey to get there, who they meet along the way, and how it goes all wrong. It's a proper trying to do the human thing, trying to find the humanity in situations, trying to save yourself without losing your goodness, and being challenged on all of those fronts in lots of different ways. And, you know, humans are the real enemies all along, blah, blah, blah. But it's a really fun one that I don't think gets talked about enough in kind of the zombie canon. Also stars post-Star Trek Chris Pine doing a very good very good performance as well.
I back that. It's one of those like underrated ones where if you've seen it, you probably had a good time with it, but it definitely flew under the radar despite, like you said, having that Chris Pine connection. I think there's a lot of you mentioned it the other week, you know, like that period for zombie movies general. We were getting so many of them. A lot of them were disposable. A lot of them were the big hitters. But then we had like this nice middle ground where you just got like loads of these pretty underrated, kind of low budget bangers. You know, post-apocalyptic bangers, end of the world bangers, dystopian bangers from around that time. So I definitely back that as being one of those highlights.
Yeah, for sure. Every time I watched it, I really enjoyed it, and I liked that it's quite a miserable film as well, which is what I like from my apocalypses. Apocalypse? I don't know. I either want it to be mad gory or mad bleak, and this one I remember it just has enough of everything to be like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Mine next pick is not as interesting as that. It's pretty basic actually, but there's a little twist to it. I mentioned it before, but it's The Last of Us. But I'm going to specifically go with The Last of Us Season 1 TV show, just because I think that... I know. I'm going to shock you. I'm not saying it's bad. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad.
I don't like that.
I'll tell you why. Let me see if I can convince you with it. So The Last of Us Season 1 TV show goes more in and explores the idea of a post-apocalyptic occupation a little bit more than the game does. In the game, you start in like a quarantine zone with factions that are overseeing everything, like a military faction. And ultimately, like in the show, you escape that. But I just noticed a lot of parallels between the procedures that are established in the Last of Us TV show and the procedures established here in terms of screening kids for infections. Even like one of the first scenes of the Last of Us show, when you skip ahead to like the present day, is a kid that kind of looks a lot like Andy, actually. And he's getting the same process of looking into the eyes, seeing if they're infected and analyzing it that way. And for the first episodes, you really get like that. In the first 2 episodes, actually, you get that exploration of what it's like to live this new normal underneath this military rule, the jobs that you have to take on, like the kind of currency that pops up. And then you get all of that scientific element as well of like how they're screening for the infection, how they're keeping everything under control. And obviously, the show is not a patch on the game, but in terms of parallels with 28 Weeks Later, I think they're a little bit more self-evident in this comparison rather than just it being a zombie game about a chosen child, as we've already established. I still haven't convinced you, have I? I still haven't. I can see your face.
No. I think, you know what? I do think you're right. Because they do explore life a lot more in the TV series, like episode 3, where we get the farm. You know what I mean? And the life of our 2 men is so good, but I think the game, like, I've become one of those people where it's like, well, it's not my original source material, so I don't like it. Whereas I actually do. I do like The Last of Us. My just emotional connection to the TV series has waxed and waned with, like, I'm happy it exists for people to get in touch with the story, but I wish everyone would just grow up and pick up a PlayStation controller. You know, like, just play the goddamn game. Which, you know, is there's a lot to be said for how good the game is. But yeah, if you aren't a gamer, then the TV show exists for that, and the quarantine stuff, you do get a lot more of life in the zone than you would elsewhere. You get a lot of it in part 2 as well, though. You should just play them both, really.
Listen, you should play the games. You should play the remake of part 1. Excellent. You should definitely play part 2. Just the changes and the DLCs. Do not miss the DLCs. Just the changes that were made in the TV show. You get 2 characters, Henry and Sam, and their story is a little bit different as well. And again, that's another episode that focuses on like the military leaders and the factions a little bit more than they do in the game. But I am with you. I think people should play the game instead, even though I do like season 1 of the show. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, we don't need to commit to this. We don't need to do this. We can cut this part out. Maybe, if you want. We were always wondering how are we going to do an episode maybe on like The Last of Us Part 2. How are we going to do that? Because we'll just be us saying it's great for like 2 hours. Could I tempt you in a comparison between the TV adaptation, season 2 and season 3, and the game, because I think it gets a lot wrong, the TV adaptation.
Yeah.
Maybe it could make for an interesting episode. Maybe it's a little overdone. I don't know.
No, you could really tempt me with that because I got a lot to say. So yeah, actually tempted by that, but we need to prepare for it again because I need to play everything again. I need to put another 40 hours into all of the games and then watch all the series.
Oh no, I'm gonna play the game.
No.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to go home and start The Last of Us Part 1 again tonight. Oh no.
Oh no, I gotta get all the trophies again on another release. Yeah, but no, definitely. And I think that's fair. I think it's totally fair to say that's the version of it that aligns the most with 28 weeks as well. That is fair. I'll let you have it this time. And it is a horror, at least. So I've got 2 for the price of 1 here because they are the same conceptually, just executed very differently. One is a straight-talking, straight-laced one. Number 2 is a bit more of a silly Nick Cage starer. And they're both about overwhelming rage taking over a populace and people trying to survive, much like 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later. The first is The Crazies, which is the 2010 remake, of course, because I love that one. And again, one I haven't watched in ages. All of these films are from this one era in time that obviously I watched a million of these films and never did again. But The Crazies still holds up as a banger, I believe, from a light bit of research, and is kind of like I think it's, I don't want to say too much about it because I feel like the bits I remember are going to spoil it, but it's about a group of people trying to survive at like violence on a mass scale in a town and being like, what the hell is this happening for? And then the other one, which stars Nick Cage, also about parents wanting to kill their children specifically for no reason at all, that they have to figure out why. Mom and Dad. And both are very hopped up violent films where people are uncontrollably angry and need to take it out on something, and everybody's like, what the hell, I'm scared, let's sort it out.
Mom and Dad I have not seen. The Crazies I have seen. So you'll have to tell me more about that second one. I was really wondering which Nick Cage pull you were going to go for there. And even then, when you described the family dynamics, I thought you were going to go for The Colour Purple. This is not The Colour Purple. What the hell is that Lovecraft film that he did? I don't know. This is a good...
The Colour... Oh my goodness.
The Colour Purple.
Yeah. Nick Cage's Maya Angelou adaptation.
Oh, we're having a good episode. We've been really on the ball on this one. Anyway,
yeah, The Colour Out of Space.
Colour Out of Space. Yeah. In my defense, a very purple film.
It's so purple. It's so purple. Mom and Dad. I don't love it. I can't lie. I don't love it, but I think it's a good matchup with this film. It's about a mom and dad, again, Nick Cage and his wife, who is played by someone, and they pick up arms and just try and absolutely kill to death all of their children, and all of the parents in the town are doing the same thing. Like every grown-up has basically gone mad, and the only people surviving are the children, or not affected by whatever's going on are the children, and they've got to understand why to resolve it and survive, but they're being hunted down by all the grown-ups the whole time. So there's a real edge of comedy to it, as I think there has to be for that sort of film, but it's kind of like blackly comic. It's a bit silly, but also quite brutal. So, and I remember it being advertised loads because it was a Nick Cage special, and it's like his face close up being like as you know he does.
Yeah, interesting.
It's not one I wouldn't say like run to watch it.
Yeah,
but it's on The Happening and Mom and Dad, my favourite film.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've really gone for some. You normally criticise my picks.
Stinkers.
You've just gone for it. He's a bunch of stinkers, actually. He's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
And The Crazies, which is pretty good. Crazies.
The Crazies and Carriers are both underrated. Even because The Crazies was rated for a while and then people have forgotten about it. So The Crazies and Carriers bring it back. And the last one I've got, I do massively rate, and so does everyone else. And we've had The Last of Us, which I would have said if you hadn't. So,
well, which one's the last one? Are you going to get to that in a second?
Yeah, I'll let you.
All right, okay. I'm going to.
My lord.
Thank you very much. I'm going to finish off complimenting your 2010 Crazies with the original Crazies, the George A. Romero one. Okay. Both great for different reasons, and I did watch them recently. I was in a crazy mood about a year ago. And one weekend when I was home alone, I just thought, you know what? I'm getting into the crazies. And I went,
Yeah.
watched them both, read everything about them, love them both for different reasons. Like you said, that 2010 one is definitely in the vein of those mid 2000s, late 2000s zombie movies where it is more about the spectacle. It's got the 28 weeks thing of scale, scares, proper pulpy B-movie stuff. Whereas George A. Romero's The Crazies, despite being made around the same time as his Of the Dead films, especially Dawn of the Dead, it's so much subtler than I remember it being. Like, there's still essentially a rage virus that is sending people crazy in that movie. But unlike the 2010 the film, where it like manifests in, you know, a zombie-like appearance, a rage virus-like appearance, like that you can see if someone is infected just by looking at them. In the original Crazies, it's like way more subtle. They do just like look human, and they're almost they almost become like what is that film I'm thinking of? I cannot remember. It's got Donald Sutherland in. It's about aliens.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's a little Invasion of the Body Snatchers where you don't know if someone has been assimilated or if they haven't. It just plays so well on that like paranoia, and it has that military presence, and it has that aspect of the scientists are being brought in, and the military men have been brought in, and they're not working together properly, and a cure is in reach, and they've got an idea, but mismanagement of the situation means that it's all going tits up. That element of it I loved upon rewatch. I didn't really rate it when I first watched it back in the day, after the Crazies 2010, because I wanted that action, I wanted that like that pulp mayhem, and it didn't give me that. But watching it as a grown-up now, I appreciated it so much more. But yeah, do a 1-2. If I'd recommend doing a 1-2 punch of Crazies original and Crazies 2010, and have a crazy old weekend.
Crazy. I need to watch the OG, actually. 2010 is my only iteration of the Crazies. I'm pretty sure George A. Romero was like a producer or like he definitely helped on it at the time. So it's got George A. Romero fingerprints on it too, which I think is nice. But yeah, need to go back and watch it. I'm so picky with 70s horror films. I'm so picky with them, which we can get into in another episode. But yeah, I'm always like,
to be
should
fair,
I spend my time on this?
It's not a stinker quite like maybe a Mom and Dad or The Happening, but it's slow and it's purposeful, and like it doesn't have those big set pieces. It's definitely a horror film, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you'd kind of have to be in the mood for that kind of 70s horror like you described there, rather than it being a thrill ride.
Yeah, you take me back. Like, the thing is, I feel like 50s horror films I can so get on board with because they're quite camp. Like, they've got a bit of fun to them. They've got a bit of get away, rhino, which just for context, Josh said that before we started filming because we were talking about animals, and he just said it in the most transatlantic voice possible, and it really, really got me, and I can't believe it we've taken till now to get it into the episode. But yeah, get away, rhino. And yeah, but and then the 60s and 70s went a little bit more cerebral with it, and then the 80s brought me back around where I was like, okay, we're getting, it's like, you know, hard body films again. Great.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we should talk about this in the future, because I do love 70s horror, man. Like, yeah, it's got something to it. Okay, I'm going to put a pin in that. That's fascinating.
Yeah. My last recommendation is Outlast, because we need a video game in here.
Go on.
And I think...
How is this connecting?
It's just, I just felt like the vibes of the... It's not obviously very specifically tied. Outlast is a game where you play a journalist, you have no way of fighting back against what's going to happen to you, and you've turned up to a mental institution, an asylum, to report what has been going on in said place. You break in, and once you break in, you realise everything's gone wrong in there. You're trapped. All the patients are loose, and they are violent and nasty. And there's lots of exploring to figure out why that's happening, what's gone on there for this to have happened in the first place. And there is no reasoning with any of the people in there because they have all lost their minds, essentially. It's particularly gory. It's all done through looking through your camera in night vision mode, so it makes it extra scary. And it has long been touted as one of the most frightening experiences in gaming, which I think it actually can back up as well. I do think it has the source to back up the extreme claims that it has had. It's very, very good. And I think a lot of 28 Weeks Later informs it because of the way that the patients are, the kind of that, again, that unbridled rage, that kind of lack of being able to talk to them. When you get spotted by the character that follows you around and is like totally just indefeasible, you just have to hide from him. It's like someone with the rage virus, you know? It's like, I think there's a similarity between zombie filmmaking and the kind of almost supernatural threat that's going on in Outlast with how these characters come across. I think you could definitely tie them in there. And then obviously these found footage moments that are interconnected by actual footage, where it be first person footage in Outlast versus normal third person filming in 28 Weeks Later. I think the way that they use found footage sparingly to make, or, you know, those stylistic choices of having to look through a camera to be able to see what's going on, I think that feels very reminiscent between the two as well. The way that they kind of approach the framing setup of making horror happen. I wouldn't think you'd put them together on the surface. If I said, oh yeah, 28 Weeks Later is so much like Outlast, you'd be like, no. But I do think they are more tied than one would think when you deep it, when you think about how the characters act, how the framing works, how the scares are set up, and then it being a video game with set pieces as well and big scary moments. I do think that comes together really well with 28 Weeks Hollywood version of that versus Outlast's kind of contained mental institution version of that, especially towards the end where it gets quite big. Like, there is stuff there too.
Yeah, definitely. No, I just had that exact experience that you just described. I was initially thinking, how is this going to connect? But now you've explained it. Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. I can see a lot of it in there now. And I would back what you said. It still is Outlast, maybe a little old in the tooth now, but aren't we all? Yeah. Well, I'll speak for myself, actually. It's still a great game. Still a great experience.
You're 40 next year, actually.
Don't. Ash keeps telling people I'm 40 next year, right? And people believe him. And do you know how that's like the most brutal thing in the entire world, I think, when one of your pals, who is my pal and consider my pal, goes, oh, you're 40 next year. I'm not. It's brutal. It's a nasty thing to do, Ash. I'm going to start crying. I'm going to start crying.
I don't know why anyone believes anything I say, because it's just, I feel like I've said so many things that are just a bit of fun. And they still go, oh, really? Even though it's categorically untrue.
It's because
it's just the
we've been
kindness in their heart.
You're a good actor. You know what I mean? I know you didn't get the part of Ray.
Oh, Peter.
But I'll put that down to the nerves, because every time you try to, you don't even try. You do a bit, or you'll say something, and I'm just there nodding like, oh, very interesting. Tell me more about that. I am
40 next year.
I might be. You know, I am. Yeah. I can't even remember how we got onto that. Oh, being old in the tooth. Outlast, I would. That's a game that I actually would love to see remade or remastered, and I'm surprised that it hasn't had that treatment. But even without that, it still works. The scares are great, like you said. The patients in this hospital going crazy is very effective. Yeah. Hogwatch is well accounted for, perfect. And I like the second game as well. The second game is a little bit different, but I still really enjoy that one as well. I think the Outlast series is so good.
Yeah, like Whistleblower DLC's got Mad Hogwatch as well. Yeah. Hog Terror, which is an upgrade of Hogwatch.
A whole new level, without spoiling it. Woo! There's a lot of hog going on. Knob Terror, like Ash said.
To be watched. Right, Josh, shall we finish? Because we have been yabbering on.
I can't lie. I am an absolute puddle of sweat in here. And I'm looking at you on your screen, and you've got a fan going on, and your hair's billowing, and I'm just thinking, what a lovely breeze must be going on in there.
I've got like hairspray in my fringe, so it's been like lifting as one as well, which I've enjoyed. I keep catching it being like, doo, doo, which has been making me laugh. But yeah, it's been gorgeously cool in here. Gorgeously cool.
But these are getting longer, man. We need to rein them in. They are getting long.
Yeah, it's long. Sorry, everybody. We'll try and keep it under 2 hours at least going forward. The goal was to be an hour and a half, but yeah, I think it's because we started telling lore in the end section. The lore was taking time. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. And we hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it did run on a little bit longer than usual. If you did enjoy it, please drop us a comment. Please give us a rating. Please share with your friends. We'd love to get that sick word out there. And if you'd like to support us even further, we do have a Patreon as well, where you can watch ad-free episodes of everything we upload early before it goes onto the feeds. And you can subscribe as a supporter or as somebody who gets the ad-free tier, because there's 2 tiers you can choose from depending on what you would like to achieve with your subscription. We have Peter, we have Billy, we have Todd, and we have Donnie in our £5 tier at the moment, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out. That could be you getting shouted out next time if you subscribe. What's the word? Shill. There we go. Shill. But yes, thank you so much for being here in any capacity, for listening, for hearing the shilling at the end of the episode as well, which means that you made it through everything that we have yabbered on about in this ep.
A lot of lore, a lot of analysis, a lot of weird tangents about which Toy Story character that you wanted to. That bit might not make it in the episode, but no, we did talk about it. Yeah, 100%.
We did.
No.
And the answers might shock you.
Subscribe to find out more. No, we won't keep the good stuff locked. I echo what Ash said. Thank you all very much. It's always lovely. The response that we've had to this has been great, and certainly more than I was expecting when we launched, considering we're yet to hit even 10 episodes. It's been so good, and thank you guys for your support over on the Patreon as well. It's very, very appreciated over there. And goes a long way as well in terms of keeping this alive and hosted and all of that good stuff.
100%. So thank you once more. I love saying thank you at the end of the episode 1 million times because I am thankful, and I know Josh is too. But it's tea time, so we'll see you in 2 weeks with another episode of That Sick. And hope you enjoy it. I need a sign off. What's the sign off going to be? Stay sick. I don't know. It sounds like an illness wish.
That's your job. You got to come up with that in the next week. You're the intro and the sign off queen.
God damn it. Okay. I'm just going to think of one for now, which is goodbye.
Bye.